What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Thursday, NBA slate, the fresh slate off of the NBA All-Star Weekend. If it's Thursday, you know it's the same crew. J Money is Money out in the log cabin out there in the Denver countryside, chilling out, and AC Albert Wynn just welcomed another child in, but he's here to give you a play. We are presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Go download the Action Network app. Baseball's on the way. Spring training starts this week. Tons of stuff here for the NBA coming out for the second half of the year. Playoffs are right around the corner. We'll have tons of stuff for you there. Go download the Action Network app. All right, we give the play, we give the cap, we get you guys out of here. J Money is Money. What are you looking at on the first Thursday of the second half of the year in the NBA?
Yeah, I like the Warriors in the third quarter, -1.5.
AC, Albert Wynn, the analytics capper. What are you looking at for Thursday?
I'm going north of the border. Give me the Toronto Raptors -2.
I'm going to go Mavs, Suns, under 244 is what I'm seeing in the market right now. All right, J Money is Money. I'm coming right back to you. Going to Old Faithful from many years ago. The Warriors in the third frame. A lot of people are saying they've turned the corner. They closed the first half coming into the break very strong. Steph Curry has been playing absolutely lights out. Tell me why you like this third quarter spot here for the Warriors.
Yeah, I like the Warriors to keep it going, man. This team has been they low key been red hot. Now I know this is right out of the break. Some of these teams that were hot could probably cool off after being off for a week, but both of these teams were hot coming in. So somebody has to cool off here. I do think this is a Warriors type of game. Obviously, the first half, anything can happen. These guys could possibly come out rusty as hell, so you never know. But this is a huge game for the Warriors if they want to make the playoffs. If they want to like start moving up the standings in the Western Conference, they're 4 games behind. They're 2.5 games behind the Lakers. So this is a huge game for them. And like I say, the first half, in my opinion, is a crapshoot. But I definitely expect the Warriors at home, coming off the break in this third quarter after halftime, make whatever adjustments they need to and come out here firing in the third quarter, just like they usually do. So I like the matchup for them. And specifically, I think that this is a spot where they come out, they could possibly be even down in the first half. But I think the third quarter spot is the spot here. I think it's golden. Let's put it like that, man. So I like the Warriors in the third quarter here.
AC, any thoughts on the third quarter? First game after the break, Lakers, another team that played really well coming in to the All-Star game. Now they're going head up. What do you think about this spot for J Money in the third quarter?
My guy Jay with the play on words, I love it. No, this is a Golden State Warriors spot, man. I know it's just February in the NBA, but this is the closest to a must win you can have. They've already played earlier this year in San Francisco, and the Lakers won in overtime, 145-144, basically a coin flip ending. The Lakers head-to-head have dominated this matchup. They've won 8 out of the last 10 head-to-head against the Warriors. So everything points to, this is a bounce back spot, a revenge spot, a must win spot. There's no LeBron James for tomorrow night, so you would expect the Warriors to take care of business. And both teams, like Sean mentioned, heading into the All-Star break, they were playing really well. Warriors, obviously, we all know they won 8 out of the last 10. I think the Lakers won 6 out of their last 7 as well, but now they're on the road and they're without LeBron James. So if this gets away from them early, I do think it's going to be a spot where they might start resting some guys in the second half. So I like that spot for Jay. And everybody knows if the Warriors are hitting threes, that third quarter spot is pretty strong.
They've also
Both
covered
teams
7
right
straight.
around dead at.
Sean, 7 straight third
Go ahead,
quarters
Jay.
covers. 7 straight third quarter covers for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, they've been cooking in the third quarter as of late. Right for the whole season, both squads right around that 500 number in the third quarter against the spread. The Golden State Warriors are 27-26, and the Lakers are 28-28-1. I think the key here is how the Lakers respond to not having LeBron James, still dealing with the ankle, skipped all the All-Star festivities, pulled up for the game for about 20 minutes, and then go ahead and got up out of there as soon as he could after that game was over. So this is all about how the Lakers are going to respond to not having the big dog LeBron, and it seems like I'm really interested to see if Golden State has actually turned the corner and if they are going to start stringing these games together, because Curry looks like he's taking it up a notch the last 2 weeks. So I'm excited to see if they keep rolling. The third quarter coming out of the break is such a specific spot. I'm interested to see how it shakes. It's not something personally that I could look at, but Jay Money, that's the man that goes into the murky waters and pulls out dollars out of Gator's mouth, out of the woods in Denver. That's what he does. So let's cash the third quarter on the Warriors. All right, AC, Analytics Capper, you said it, going north of the border. We're talking about the Toronto Raptors here, laying a few. Why do you like the Raps in this spot coming out of the break?
Yeah, I think both of these teams has been disappointing seasons, right? It's basically a lost season for both of them. The Nets are only 21-33. They're not going to make the playoffs. Raptors even worse, 19-36, not going to make the playoffs. But the Nets here have dominated this head-to-head matchup. They've won 5 straight head-to-head, and I think they've covered 8 out of last 10 against this team. And the Raptors are laying points, so I think it's a big spot here. I think the books expect Brooklyn having to go on the road after a long layoff like that. They don't expect Brooklyn to be prepared and ready to play against the Raptors. And we all know Toronto has a completely different team now. So if Quickly and RJ Barrett, those guys are healthy and they're motivated. We saw how good Scotty Barnes was in the All-Star game. I think this is kind of like a building block for the next year. I think the Raptors got to start playing for real now in the second half of the season. And I just like the spot. Like I said, Brooklyn's dominated this matchup, but are dogs on the road. So I like the Raptors not only to win, but to cover the 2 points.
Jay Money, any thoughts on the Raps versus the Brooklyn Nets laying a couple?
Yeah, this is a tough game for me, to be perfectly honest with you. I can't say, man. I like AC makes some great points there for the Raptors, so I'm probably gonna stay off this game. But like initially, just me looking at the card, I lean towards the Nets here. The season isn't over for them, and I think they know that. That's why they fired Vaughn like over the All-Star break. That way, whoever's coach, the interim coach, you can have like a fresh start right out of the break. This team has been practicing the last couple of days. It's kind of like when your manager or something gets fired. Now everybody's happy to come to work. I feel like the Nets this first game, or at least maybe here going forward for a few games, might actually be a buy-on team. They're not out of the play-in tournament yet. We've seen a 10 seed come back last. I believe one of those 10 seeds had a chance to win in the in-season tournament. So if they could sneak their way into the in-season tournament, you never know what happens with the Nets. I don't think the season's over yet for them. I actually lean towards the Nets here plus 2.5.
Any thoughts on AC? Any thoughts on Vaughn? You know, he's not the coach. They fired him. This is the first game without him. Any type of bump there? Anything you're worried about with the Nets on that side of the speculative narrative side?
No, those are great points that Jay mentioned. And as a narrative, I don't just use narrative when I'm betting, but I do like to back negative news. So if you consider changing their coach right at the All Star break, negative news that is against that team, I actually like to back those type of situations. So I agree there with Jay. I just don't know if this team, from an individual standpoint, like these guys are ready to really make a serious playoff run. I think like Mikal Bridges is always looking to get traded. All these other guys, and I think Raptors, although they've been like an underperforming team all season long, I think they have pieces there that are trying to prove that they belong there in Toronto and want to be starters moving forward. So I like Toronto's outlook more as a team in the second half than Brooklyn personally.
Yeah, Nets last 5 have been pretty tough. They played Boston twice. They played the Spurs, which they got the W, but then they played Cleveland and they played Dallas, and they struggled in a lot of those games. I'll say this. As a guy covering the Knicks out of MSG and being around that, I don't know how I feel about him hanging out with Brunson and Josh Hart and doing the podcast, and they're talking about Knicks versus Nets and how does it feel when we come take over your building. And Mikal Bridges is kind of just in the pod, like, yeah, man, that is pretty cool that Knicks fans show up all the time, and and we don't got no home court advantage, and da 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 da. It does seem like Mikal is in a really tough spot where he's trying to play hard for a team that has absolutely nothing going for him. They just fired the coach. They're trying to figure out a lot of things. the great Sean Marks gets another opportunity to pick a coach. So we'll see how that shakes. But this is one of the tougher games on the board for me as well, J Money. Let's hope Toronto comes in and takes care of business. All right. I'm going to go to one of the funner matchups, more competitive matchups, I believe, on the board here. And I'm going to go Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns, under 244. So I'm really, really, really bullish on the Mavericks post All-Star break here. There's another team, including the Suns. Suns, Lakers, Warriors, Mavs, all closed before the break, extremely strong. Let's focus on the Mavs here. I love the PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford addition. I think they plug and improve on a lot of the negative things that Dallas had going for them, especially on the defensive side of the rock. Derek Lively is back on the floor. Kyrie Irving is back on the floor. Love that. Josh Green is back on the floor. I love that. And I love how both teams are playing defense. Top 10 defensive rating, the last 10 going into the break. Let's talk about the injury report. For Dallas, Luka probable. Derek Lively probable. Brad Beal still questionable here with the hamstring. So last time these two teams played, it was the Suns got a big W, 132-109. Book went crazy. This was before the trade. I believe this to be the most competitive matchup on the board, and both teams have been playing quite a bit of defense. Now, they've also been tops towards the league the last 10 games in pace. And I think that is interesting, but I think in this matchup in particularly, this game is going to slow down quite a bit just because of the matchup overall. So I'm looking at the under 244 in this game. I think it's going to be defense first coming out of the All-Star break. They're going to be playing competitive lockdown type defense on that side. They're going to be rotating, and I love Derek Lively and Gafford being on the floor together. The Dallas Mavericks are extremely deep. And as long as Luka doesn't score 40 and Kyrie doesn't score 40, I believe with Brad Beal being out, keeps this under the total of 244. J Money is money. Any thoughts on I know you're not a total guy, but you could talk me through the matchup and how you feel about Dallas and Phoenix overall and how you see this game flowing, if anything.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game, man. I love to watch these type of games just to learn about the two teams. From a betting perspective, I could see it going either way as far as who's going to win. So I usually stay off these type of games 50-50, what I kind of feel like is going to be. If the Suns won, I wouldn't be surprised. If the Mavs won, I wouldn't be surprised. Looks like Bill is still questionable, so he's not out for sure yet, so he could possibly play here. But this could be a playoff style type of game. They've played two times already so far this year. The Mavs have won the first one. Suns won the second one when Booker put up 46 on their head in that game. But both of those games end up staying under a total. So let's see if there could be three straight in the total, three straight unders in the series so far this year. But I can't talk you off there, Sean.
AC, the Suns are 11-15 to the under on the road, and the Dallas Mavericks at home are just over 500 at 14-16 to the under. So both teams to the under. As Jay just laid out, both of those other games went under. I really feel good about this if Bradley Beal doesn't go. Keep an eye on that. How do you feel about this spot for under 244 and the game flow?
Yeah, Jay mentioned it. I was at that January 24th game when Booker put up 46. He outscored the Mavericks by himself in the third quarter. It's wide open jump shots, like wide open. But I'll say this: it's a completely different Dallas Mavericks team defensively when you have Lively and Gafford versus Dwight Powell. I know I've been bashing Dwight Powell for like 4 years, but it's just a completely different. Not even like contesting shots, but dominating the defensive glass, things like that. So as a side is concerned when it comes to the total, I agree with you. I think Dallas now with the size, athleticism, PJ Washington can defend a little bit as well. I think they're going to be able to get it defensively to try to hold Phoenix. I think the winner of the game is going to come down to who's going to make free throws in the end. We all know Luka kind of struggles when it comes to free throws, especially in the fourth quarter, whether it's fatigue, nerves, whatever the case may be, but he needs to make free throws. This series is really interesting. The last four road teams have gone into the other team's home building and won straight up. So we'll see if Dallas can take care of the road tomorrow, take care of the home court tomorrow night. But I agree with you, Sean. I like the under here. Any type of big games, I lean the under first before I start looking at anything else.
Yeah, and if you remember that same game where Booker went crazy in the third, Dallas actually came out in the first part of the game and were going crazy. Dallas was
Hmm.
busting their head in the first part of the game, and then it completely flipped when D Booker went crazy in the third quarter. So I expect a very high competitive, intense game, and that leans to the defense in a primetime spot. I like the under here at 244. There's a bunch of games on the slate for everybody to go look at some other stuff. If we do have some leans, you know where to find us on Twitter at JMoneyIsMoney, at AC the Analytics Capper. I am at Chicago Flow. We'll be there. We'll be in the Action Network app. To recap, AC the Analytics Cappers on the Raptors -2. Money is on the Warriors third quarter. Number still pending. Call it right around -1.5. And I'm on the Mavs Suns under 244. We are presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Enjoy the NBA. It is back. Don't take it for granted. Until next time, let's get buckets, baby. We'll see y'all tomorrow.